The Mavs were hot and they were rolling, but the last two losses have been flat out unacceptable. So if you're pissed off about the past two L's, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. And with the NBA trade deadline coming up in a week from today, let's talk some Mavs rumors. You're watching Dallas Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Hope all of you are having an awesome week. The Mavericks not having an awesome week. The last two games have been brutal. We'll get to that here in just a little while, but let's get you caught up with all of the latest Mavericks trade rumors. And we start off with Kemba Walker. Fan Nation with this. Kemba could be a potential trade target for Dallas. He would fit under the Mavs' $10.9 million trade exception. And the NBA trade deadline is a week from today. And I think up to this point, it's hard to make out exactly what this Mavericks team is. I've been really surprised and impressed with what Jason Kidd has been able to do in his debut season as he has returned back to Dallas, where he had a lot of success as a player, helping to bring the city its last NBA championship alongside Dirk Nowitzki. But I think this team is in need of roster upgrades. The unfortunate thing is they don't have a lot of draft capital or player assets to give up for a trade. And that's why we're talking about the likes of Kemba Walker, who this year with New York has been good at times, he's been bad other times, and it's unfortunate what's happened to him over the last couple of years because the knee injuries have really affected his athleticism. 12 points per game this year, 3.5 assists, 40.5% from the floor, and 37% from distance. And it's kind of been a Jekyll and Hyde year for Kemba. Some nights, he's let the flamethrower rip. Other nights, he's been ice cold. But the Mavs really do need a bench guard. And with that trade exception, could they elect to bring in Kemba Walker to give them a little bit of a spark coming off that bench, to give them a little bit of an edge coming off the pine? Kemba Walker can give you that at this point of his career. He cannot really be the player who can average 20 to 25 points per game like he was doing with the Charlotte Hornets and to start off that stint with the Boston Celtics. So I want to hear from Mavs fans, the MFFLs. Should the Mavs trade for Kemba Walker? Your opportunity to sound off in the comment section and let your voices be heard. So type Y for yes, type N for no. Here at Chat Sports, we're all about the audience interaction. Get those votes in the comment section. From one guard to another guard who is a lot better, who also will cost a lot more in terms of trade and in terms of salary. Bleacher Report proposed some blockbuster trade ideas. They had Dallas landing CJ McCollum for a title run, and the Mavs are probably one legitimate piece away from really competing for an NBA championship. Luka Doncic has really gotten it going over the last couple of weeks after he started the year out of shape, but now that he's in better shape, now that he seems to be a little bit more healthier, his play and the emergence of Jalen Brunson and some of the other pieces, even without Tim Hardaway Jr., has made this Mavs team pretty interesting. Now, I don't think they can compete for a championship with the current construction of this roster, but you bring in CJ McCollum to take a little bit of the pressure off of Luka. I kind of like the roster construction. So here's the Bleacher Report trade idea. Let's look at it real quick. The Mavs would get CJ McCollum and Larry Nance Jr., who, by the way, is a very good player. The Trailblazers would get Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, who hasn't really lived up to expectations this year after signing that nice payday, 2025 first-round pick, a 2022 second-round pick, and that $10.9 million trade exception. Now, it would hurt getting rid of Tim Hardaway Jr., but who's the more consistent player? You can make the argument it's CJ McCollum. Who wins the trade? M for the Mavericks, B for the Blazers. With THJ hurt, it's going to be hard to trade him. Because if the Trailblazers are like, hey, we want Hardaway back, yeah, we're probably on the outside looking in for the Western Conference playoff run, but at the same time, like, we want to see what he can give us in the future and give Damian Lillard some semblance of hope if we don't trade Damian Lillard away, which I think is going to be the case. I think Dame is going to stay in the Pacific Northwest, especially with that abdominal injury. Now, with THJ hurt, you could also look at it from the other side, with Portland saying, hey, you know, THJ ain't going to play this year, but we ain't going to compete this year, so let's get that deal done. You can also get a deal done by getting this fresh Mavericks hoodie, and the deal, it's on and popping, folks. 25% off only if you use that link down below, chatsports.com/Mavs hoodie. This is a good basketball team. They're looking to win their first playoff series since 2011 when they won the NBA title. Hey, I know a lot of you watching, though, are diehard Mavs fans, so whether they're winning or not, in-season, off-season, get yourself decked out with some fresh Mavs swag. Chatsports.com/Mavs hoodie. As for what CJ McCollum has been able to do this year, 20.5 points per game, 4.5 assists, 4+ rebounds, and from three-point distance, he's been letting it rock, man. 40%. Now, he's been in and out of the lineup because of a couple injuries, but if you're looking to chase a title, Mark Cuban, this is my message to you. You don't pay that luxury tax. You haven't since you won an NBA championship. Do you want to make Luka happy? Do you want to compete for an NBA championship? This is the way to do that. Bring in CJ McCollum, and you pair him up with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. Now, a lot of you know I'm not on this channel much, but when I am, I have let it be known I'm not the biggest KP guy. It's unfortunate what's happened to him because of the injuries. It's zapped him from some of his elite play that we saw with the New York Knicks, and it's unfortunate for the Mavericks they haven't got that level of player back in KP. But look, if you pair him up with two other players in Luka and CJ, does the pressure get taken off of Kristaps Porzingis? Maybe a little bit, and for that reason, that threesome would be interesting. Now, if a trade does happen, if the Mavs make a move, even if they don't, we have you covered. In season, off season, whatever it is, we keep you on top of all things Mavericks. So subscribe right now by hitting that red subscribe button down below. We have you covered with the latest Mavs news, Mavs rumors, and trade buzz. Just hit that sub button. Finally, we can all vent together and we can have our therapy session. We can talk about these last two losses for the Dallas Mavericks. You lose to the Magic? You lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder? How is that even possible? It's unacceptable. And yes, look, I understand during the rigors of an NBA season with players in and out of the lineup when that does happen. Sometimes there are back-to-backs. The road travel is hard. But the Dallas Mavericks cannot be losing two games to the Orlando Magic and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Those are two of the worst teams in the NBA. And for me, it's unacceptable. Like, if we talk about the Mavericks getting into the playoffs, trying to make a run, trying to make a trade to bolster this roster, you can't lose those two types of games, especially when they're close. Have to find a way to close. As for the Mavs' next 5 games, the 4th against Philadelphia on Friday night, the 6th against the Atlanta Hawks, Detroit Pistons, Clippers, back-to-back, back-to-back home games is what I mean there, but all of those games at home. So you really, if you're Dallas, you're coming off those 2 losses to Orlando and OKC. Now you have 5 home games in a row. You rattle off 5 straight, all somewhat winnable, and then we're talking about the Mavs being back on the wagon. You talk about this team getting hot once again. My message to the Mavs before we get out of here, just take advantage of the homestand. You have a great fan base behind you. Let downtown D-Town just pop off and let that energy kind of help you throughout this 5-game homestand. Take advantage of it, win out, and then you can make up for those 2 losses against Orlando and OKC. Thanks, Mavs fans, for watching today's show. Don't forget to subscribe.